we were headed to Amsterdam to start our Netherlands adventure. We stayed at the well-located Conservatorium Hotel. The huge glass-enclosed lobby amazed us. We rented bicycles and set out to see Amsterdam. Bicycles, traffic, flower markets, canals. There was hustle and bustle on all the city streets. We found the Heineken brewery and had a tour. Vondelpark, in the middle of the city, was a beautiful place to ride a bike and enjoy nature. We were lucky to get tickets for the Vermeer exhibit. And there were wonderful things to see in museums besides just paintings. Next was the Van Gogh exhibit. Then onto a boat for a canal tour of the city. After 2 days in Amsterdam, we boarded the Magnifique II and started out on our tour of Dutch waterways. We arrived in Haarlem and walked through the medieval market town to the cathedral. The famed Mueller pipe organ was inside. It was more than 100 feet high and had 5,000 pipes. The organist was waiting for us when we arrived. We left Haarlem and continued up the canal out into the countryside. The next morning, we traveled by bus through beautiful countryside on our way to the famous Keukenhof Gardens. We were charmed by our guide and his stylish shoes. It's called the Garden of Europe. 79 acres with over 7 million flower buds, blooming for about 8 weeks in the spring. It's a magnificent display of tulips, hyacinths, daffodils, and lilies. We joined more than 1.5 million visitors this year, awed by its beauty. A surprise awaited us in Leiden, home of the Pilgrims, before they emigrated to America on the Mayflower. We visited a small 2-room cottage which housed a private museum of the Pilgrims' home. There, Cheryl found artifacts of her own Pilgrim ancestor and found his name listed in the museum's history of former occupants. The next morning, we would see the famous painting of the girl with the pearl earring. No, not her. Not her. There she is, hanging with Rembrandt and all the other masters. Another surprise was an extraordinary panorama showing the early settlement of the Netherlands. We visited the famous Delft ceramics work. Our long-haired guide explained what the workers were doing. We passed through Gouda, home of the famous cheese. Cheryl and Greg found a place where the Mayflower Pilgrims, including Cheryl's ancestor, embarked on their voyage to the New World. And then on to the largest concentration of traditional windmills remaining in the Netherlands. Leah, our Dutch guide, organized us for the bike trip. Some of us biked along the dikes, enjoying the beauty of the historic area.
All right, wave.
Hi.
Cheryl?
She's coming up. Wave.
All right, Leah, turn around and say hi.
Some of us stayed on board, watched the scenery, and helped cook apfelkuchen, which would go with our traditional Dutch dinner. Professor Bert Patenaude gave his last lecture, and our Dutch guide, Leah, entertained us. Nancy Kramer briefed us on our visit the next day to the world's largest flower auction. The flower auction building for the Royal Floral Holland Company is the 4th largest building in the world. It has more than 128 acres under one roof. They sold 5.5 billion bouquets of flowers in 2022. We had one last evening in Amsterdam to enjoy the canals and street scenes before we headed home.